No, he's a Quaswex Invoker. He reminds me a bit more of the South American Invokers in the sense that he's just ridiculously fast, and he'll sometimes almost play like supporting role in the early game. But what he usually does, much like Eastern European Invokers, is that he does sometimes flex into the Quasi Exort going further and tries to become quite a major core into the late game. Sometimes they even pick him up with like a combo with Cataclysm. I don't think that's be the case this game because Timbersaw Enchantress, nothing of the such. But be wary of his speed because he is really good at setting up proactive ganks and usually determines the tempo of the game for Empire in the early game.
Fair enough. Is this Medusa a new pick for Empire, or because I haven't seen them play it too much?
It's definitely not like what I think Depressed Kid would want to play. I don't know if he finds the hero boring. I don't know if he's more in the camp of Sumail where he likes it, but it is a hero that suits his playstyle of like, hey, I'm going to farm and I'll become the win condition. They've played it, I think, twice in 7.29, if I can just double check my stats. 3 times with 100% win rate here on Smiley Knight for the hard carry Dusa.
Nice. Yep. To see. On Winstrike, well, that TA already with their final pickups there. Both teams, well, they're looking for probably a carry here. Empire looking probably for another support, unless that's a weird old support.
No, that's 4, I'm pretty sure.
Then buying out the clock makes sense to me.
Yep. I mean, you still have a couple of useful 4s that you could run here. I was actually thinking of the Earth Spirit because they do still run that fair amount for Sayu.
Maybe the Tusk even is something that they like to run as well here. I wouldn't mind. Oh, the Timber is actually pretty darn good at getting through Refraction, so maybe we don't need to concern ourselves with that too much.
You need a stun, though. You need something with a stun. Because I was thinking like Snapfire would be quite a good, but then Snapfire only has Cookie Stun. A Shaman. Oh, Hoodwink. There we go. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's the stun you're looking for. Yeah, that's decent. Again, there's no instant stuns, but since Winstrike went for TA or Axe, you don't really need those. You can just pick up a Yule Scepter and deal with them nicely. So I think it's okay. Winstrike could punish this, though, with a relatively mobile carry here.
Could they play this TA effectively as a position 1 from the mid lane? And pick up, because we saw Liquid do that a lot of the major, pick up an Axe and a more tanky carry along the lines of a Bristleback or even an Underlord or a Scent even, and then play the TA effectively as their mid lane carry. Is that going to be happening here, do you think?
I could see that if they... Well, unfortunately, the Ursa's been banned out. It's not that great of a PL game either with the Invoker Timber. But I'm thinking they could run something like that, get someone to build an early Diffusal Blade and play Rebel more as your carry from the mid lane. Seems a little bit suitable. I'm looking for some Diffusal carriers. Ursa, I think, was the best choice, so good ban by Empire. You see anything here, Avo?
I'm not really sure, because I'm also thinking something that could take advantage of the lack of stuns, right? So I really like the Ursa, as you mentioned. I wonder if is Monkey King even viable here? Is this a good matchup against Timber? Actually, on that note, can you get away with a Morphling here?
You can get away with it. Don't know if you want to.
So I feel like you have. Do you lack the immediate catch to deal with him? He is always going to be able to morph. You don't have enough burst damage to deal with him. I haven't really seen Daracha play that though.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, he's played one game of it in this patch, but didn't win it. And they're going to go for the Juggernaut, something a little bit more standard with their backs against the wall, just making sure that they've got a plan B. Okay, I mean, Jack of all trades, do you think we're going to see a Diffusal Blade build out from the Juggernaut to try and get a little bit more damage early on onto the Dusa?
I mean, it's certainly good, because it's also really good against Timber and pretty decent against the Invoker. But then Jug has no farming speed, right? And then Jug has to kind of fight. I mean, Jug always gives me this feeling of, yeah, I'm okay with this hero, but I remember really excited to see him, particularly this patch. His win rate has not been too great. I think he's good this game. I can see the point. Magic Immunity will prevent any sort of catch against him. He's pretty good against Dusa in the mid-late game. I actually would rather see him go for a Molstrand like Maelstrom, or hell, even a Battle Fury build if he can afford it. No, I think Maelstrom is better because you want to time with a TA rather than Diffusal Blade. So you have a little bit of a contingency plan in case TA doesn't work out for you. I think Juggernaut needs to be that potential late game carry.
But would you say that the early game of this, the through line for Winstrike's main win condition is sitting on Rebel's shoulders firmly here?
I think it's dual core.
It is dual core, but like he needs to pop off early game, and I think that he's got the lanes to do that. but my concern comes from, again, we've given Empire a lot of their comfort picks. Depressed Kid Invoker, he's super active, rotating around the map. I think that's something you really fell in love with, Alvaro. Petushara on the Timbersaw, again, harkens back to the Beyond the Summit 11 or 12 days back in 2019. So I think Empire, they got a really, really nice draft. Winstrike, it seems like they drafted themselves a really comfortable draft for themselves, and they banned out what they needed to ban out to make this draft work. But they've also allowed Team Empire a lot of their own comfort picks here.
Great. Well, on that note, I will head off as we see whether those predictions and concerns can come true or not as I leave the game to you guys.
All right. So which side are you siding for? It seems like you're still going for Empire this time.
Yeah, I think I am, Avo. It's the thing is, it's this Timbersaw for Petushara, it's the Invoker for Depressed Kid, it's again Vanscore on the Enchantress. Like, all of these picks to me are not only strong for this game, but I also feel like they are just really, really good comfort picks for Team Empire. I don't really know if this Jug, although it's a good pick again, you know, especially versus a Quas Wex Invoker, having the spin is going to get you out of a lot of trouble. But we just don't have any saves here either, unfortunately. I don't think the healing from Phoenix is going to be enough, considering all the control, considering you got a Timbersaw. We've got a Lion who's decent, but needs to be protected, and in the early game anyway, to be able to have impact. Kind of the same story for the Hoodwink, not for the Hoodwink, but for the Phoenix. And we've got Petushara here, who's just great at cutting through back lines and just destroying team fights before they can even get started. So that's where my concern kind of comes from here for the most part. But we'll see.
Yeah. I would just say, you know, that the Winstrike has the advantage of the potential good team fight this time, much like last time, which I think is a bit superior to Empire's as well. Yet again, with a Phoenix Axe combo, you do have good egg hitters, but I still think you get that combo off and reliably save it. I just want a third game, to be honest. I do agree that Empire is looking much stronger compared to last game, and they're coming into this game with a better mentality. But I wouldn't believe that Winstrike can solve that issue in this second game. We'll see if that's the case.
Yeah, I think, again, to build off of your point, you know, we've got another great combo here. This Phoenix Axe combo is, in my opinion, a little bit better, a little bit easier to execute here. The issue is, yet again, we've given ourselves a Team Empire draft that can and will hit egg from a distance. So even though we do have decent setup here and an objective to fight around, as well as objective controllers, Medusa can always just, you know, pop the ultimate and kind of scare away any enemy cores from running at her. And of course, Spin is not going to help you through that. Refraction's not going to help you through that. And that, to me, is a bit of an issue here for Winstrike, as we will take a look at our mid lane. Good blocks by both, going about even. It is going to be the Quas Wex Invoker for Depressed Kid. He plays a pretty standard Quas Wex, but he is really, really keen to rotate around the map. Not quite to the point where he decides to go for like the Dendi playstyle, or I know Dendi didn't do it, but Dendi still does it today, which is why I kind of like to coin the term. But, you know, going for this Orchid, ghost walking around and setting up kills, that's kind of the style I'm referring to. He just is really great at proactively rotating. And again, much like last game, that is going to be something that Depressed Kid is going to have the liberty to do, because although Rabel will be able to clear waves relatively quickly, he doesn't really present a lot of threat to the tower going down. So it's going to allow and free up Depressed Kid to rotate as he sees fit. Down bottom, the early levels are not too bad for our Juggernauts and Lion combo. They've got a bit of kill potential when we hit level 3 on Jug, if he wants to go for 2 points in the Blade Fury, either against the Squirrel or even for Petushara, who's acknowledging the threat and going for the first point in the Timber Chain. He's, of course, a bit tankier, starting off with the Bracer first, going immediately into the Soul Ring, so that all that bonus armor is going to do a lot of good work for him here. But otherwise, yeah, there we go. Here's the spin. They're going to try, actually, with level 1, and again, that's why you take the Timber Chain, to make sure you can get out of a pinch just like that. Pockets the Bracer real quick to make sure he gets the full healing out, even baiting Pantomime for a couple extra right clicks out from Seiyu. And if we just peek towards the top lane here. Oh, sorry.
As I say, as per usual, Petushara really solid in the Timbersaw, really knowing how to deal with these matchups.
Yeah. And top lane is as well fairly nice, I would say, for Winstrike. Although a lot of pressure being applied to Cheshire Cat. In fact, he might just die to the right clicks. Another impetus shot ready to go in 1 second if we can get vision. Now move speed may be a bit of a concern. Cheshire Cat facing his fear here, facing the impetus, facing the crowd, and he's going to be able to live another day. Down bottom, Petashara might not be as lucky. Another Timber Chain into the Bushwhack here, actually, is just going to save the life of Petashara, but with only level 1 in the reactive armor and a single Tango, no regen available on the Hoodwink, it is not going to be too great. What's coming on the Courier? Another cell. Good. They need a lot of regen in this lane to make sure we can get the levels and the experience on the Timber.
That was very good, actually, from the Squirrel. Incredible play by Sayu, on point with the Bushwhack. The positioning is actually one of the more important parts of this ability. It's so hard to reposition yourself after you've been pushed against a tree. And then Petashara, once he hits at level 3, he should be a bit safer. He might even opt for the second point in Timber Chain, as some Timber Stars do against spells like Juggernaut's Blade Fury. But the second point in Reactive Armor will give him all the healing he needs to deal with these onslaughts.
Yeah, Pantomime maybe in a bad spot. We have Acorn Shot and Bushwhack as they are going to search for the kill. Nice usage there of the Acorn Shot, but Pantomime's still alive using the stick charges. Petashara, he's going to get him with the right click. Bit of extra healing here as well, as he's going to immediately pop the cell and look to battle here yet again. First blood for the Timber.
It's impressive. In the top lane, though, Yamish does die to Vanscore. It's a kill and suicide there at the same time. Murder-suicide there in the top lane. Not that big a deal. I think the fact that Petashara has been able to keep up with his bottom lane is actually a huge advantage, though, for Empire. He has stopped the strength of a Juggernaut in the early game. Now you're stuck with a Juggernaut that, like I said, he has to do more with the Blade Fury. Maybe Petashara, there's the Hex. Good chain of stuns, but he has a Timber Chain ready. Petashara, once again, getting away with a sliver of his life. Did go over the second point in the passive, which allows him to heal back up a bit quicker.
Yeah, again, so much regen being forced, though, is really going to make this one quite annoying. Gank towards the mid lane, as there's going to be at least the Meld Strike to force back Depressed Kid Rebel, doing a bit too much damage. But yeah, I like this top lane, though. Is not bad for really both sides. They both have kill potential, as referenced there by the pseudo deaths that they both took, the simultaneous deaths. Phoenix, of course, he's got 1 armor. I hope they nerf Phoenix, but I hope they nerf Sonoray and not his armor in the lane. Because this is the only this is one of the biggest reasons the hero is still played and is viable, is because they, he's gone to 1 armor now in base armor. He used to have like -1 armor from the get-go, and that just made it impossible to play the lanes. And then usually you would just lose. It's down bottom. They're going again, this time for the Squirrel. The spin, level 2 now, doing plenty of damage. Bushwhack, though, is going to be able to buy him a bit of time, as the Acorn Shot slowing him just for a mere second is enough space. Double stun, though, out from Pantomime is going to stop him. Oh, it's not going to stop Petashara, actually. He wants this kill, but without the point in Whirling Death, it'll be a bit difficult to get through that last little bit of reserve HP that Duracio's holding on to.
The thing is, Duracio, despite chasing Timbersaw out of the lane, is still getting some decent last hits out of this. So is Rabel, actually. So both your cores are
dead.
Both their cores are setting up themselves nicely. Vanscore does die in the top lane, as you mentioned. The creep is not going to kill Yamich. As I said, Phoenix a pretty good idea against the Enchantress due to reducing the attack speed of these creeps. Enchant only gives them extra damage, so you can't really utilize this. But Winstrike are getting farm on both their cores, looking decent right now. And they're not really losing neither to the Medusa nor the Invoker. This is the start they wanted. Of course, Empire is not going to be looking for ganks until Invoker comes online, so we'll see what happens then, as they'll try to recover maybe these small losses in lane.
Invoker is being out-denied by quite a bit. I think that's something we expected with the matchup. It's not really hampered him too much. He's already got the urn completed. And there's the 6-minute power rune spawning in. Vanscore doing a good job here, making sure that he's not going to give that free haste rune to the TA, as he will be able to just run away rather quickly. It would have been nice if we can connect for a kill into this mid lane. Unfortunately, with your 2 supports being the Ench and the Hoodwink, it's not that easy until Hoodwink reaches level 6. And again, with Refraction, it's still not even an easy kill for the TA. So I'd like to see Depressed Kid rotate to one of these side lanes eventually.
Oh, Cheshire Cat almost died there for free, but we're actually going to look at the bottom lane. Petashara has finally found the space, and now is annoying the Juggernaut properly. Really disturbing his farming patterns by just, forcing him to last it under the tower. Already the 2 points in Timber Chain means he's not going to die to the Blade here any longer. Pantomime really far out of position. They might kill Pantomime here in the bottom lane. The Hex might just save him, but Petashara, as the Mango, has a Soul Ring. He's going to die to the creeps instead.
All right, well, they got him eventually. Depresskid pushing really aggressively into the tower, underneath the tower of Rabel, who decided, hey, you've gone too far. Hit him with a Meld Strike, a couple of trap for some damage, and is going to be able to force him back. Vanscore, though, is going to take a death, was looking to rotate through. He's just trying to ruin these stacks, and he's doing a pretty good job. Definitely wanted to grab at least the Satyr Tormentor to reduce the efficiency of taking the stack, but either way, he's going to force him back. As they get Dyrachyo down bottom, though. That is a big death, and again, this is my concern, giving Petushara the Timbersaw. The dude is just in his zone on this hero.
All right, well done, Petushara. And with this, you have the one of the points you needed for this early game to go well for Empire, right? Which is a Timbersaw having a decent lane, not being punished by the Juggernaut. We've seen this time and time again. Jug is just not that great at dealing with Timbersaw. Theoretically, Blade Fury should be amazing. Petushara could just outrun him. Compared to a Luna that can constantly harass him, Jug is just okay. And now Dyrachyo's going to start to suffer. Petushara has a Chakram. Yeah. Where's the... Oh, the Lion's actually nowhere to be seen. Very far away, so Petushara can take advantage of this. Dyrachyo's forced to spin here. But they are rotating a Phoenix.
I don't think the Phoenix is enough,
Yamich?
though. He's going to at least
you're not going to kill him.
The tower, yeah. That'll
this is the
do.
jungle swap. Where you go into the jungle, you farm with a Juggernaut, and you leave Yamich to make sure the tower doesn't fall immediately. But Sayu sees this. They want to kill off Yamich. Oh, don't break the tree that early. Petushara looking for damage a bit too soon. Still not used to the fact that Bushwhack breaks or if you break the tree, you break the stun.
Let's quickly peek into the triangle here, because it's going to be Cheshire Cat actually taking the stack of Ancients. They want to get him activated and online. He did now get the Vanguard, which is why he's not going to die taking the stack. Here an EMP in the mid lane, though, as actually they're turning back on the Invoker with the Hex. Earthspike not yet ready, though. Nice Deafening Blast. Casual point in the Exort here already for Depresskid. Normally takes that first point at 10, but the Ghost Walk is going to be in time, and without detection, he will not be able to dive the tower for the kill.
Short-sighted of you.
Okay.
Nice little tip. Some more lag for Winstrike, but what are your thoughts on that? Giving that little bit of, what is a double stack on the Ancients here to Cheshire Cat rather than the Templar Assassin?
I think that Cheshire Cat... Yeah, I think he needs a bigger core to be able to start creating space with the Lion, right? Like, it's not like TA is going to come online 10 minutes in, no matter how many stacks you give her, right? She'll come online a bit sooner, but her timing should be relatively similar, whether you give her too many stacks or not, as long as Rabel's having a good lane, which she is, whereas you do need the Axe, Blink Dagger, Vanguard. In fact, I think the Axe, Blink Dagger, Vanguard leads to protecting the stacks better, so I do kind of agree with this choice by Winstrike. And then you go ganking with the Lion. If Lion is no ganking partner, he feels very weak as a support.
I see that. Cheshire Cat is looking to interrupt the farming here of the Dusa, taking a lot of damage out from this, though. But luckily with the Vanguard, not much damage out, at least from the right clicks of the Dusa. I agree with you, actually, because I think they're realizing down bottom that Petushara is a bigger problem, is a bigger threat to the Jug, so he's not going to be able to join these fights. So we need the space to come from someone, right? And Axe is going to be a good response here. If not, being able to kill the Timbersaw, at least preventing him from freely diving your backlines in fear of a blink and a call to put him even more out of position. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, the gold goes, these early gold, these early stacks, these early items, I should say, go a bit farther on an Axe than they do on a TA.
Dyrachyo? No, he's fine. He's fine. I agree. So that's why I think the Winstrike plan seems okay. My question, though, for Winstrike is what do you do with this Juggernaut? Like, I wanted this as a third game, but I was never convinced by the Juggernaut pick, so I hope they prove me wrong, really.
Okay. I'd also love a third game here between these two teams. Again, I think Winstrike, a very strong team. I don't have them going out in this round, I think, in the bracket I made pre-tournament, but I think they showed us last game how they, even if they're behind a bit, they can look to try and get themselves and find a way back into... fight themselves back into the game. And again, like you've said, they've got the team fight this time, again, to look to achieve that. So they've got a good plan B here to back them up.
You keep mentioning this bracket. Is it like a bracket you made for yourself, or is it like an app?
Yeah, it's just a bracket I made for myself, just to see.
Oh, okay.
So far, it's accurate. Again, except for Hellraisers. I brought that up at the start of the day. But, yeah, it's just, I was just seeing if my predictions would be correct, covering the lower division and watching a lot of upper division over the past 2 seasons. A little bit of pride.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, my bracket for SA is already completely messed up, so there's no chance there.
I don't blame you though. I don't blame you. The no ping loss was a bit surprising, but anyway, that's a bit for you later on, of course, as you're also hosting a couple of the matches that will be taking place when SA is, of course, active. for now, Smiley Knight is farming a big old stack here in his own triangle. That's going to be 2 stacks of the Ancients, a stack of the Hard Camps, along with the Skeleton spawning from the Dark Troll Summoner. So this is going to go a long way here on the Dusa, who has one of the better jungling items as well, Possess Mass. Just more stats for the Dusa.
Okay. I'm surprised they give it to Smiley Knight. This shows a lack of concern over the potential tempo Winstrike can show, because otherwise you give it to the Timbersaw to dominate. But you're like, yeah, it's fine. We can deal with them. Fan score, Berserker's Call.
A bit late.
Shishaka didn't see him, apparently. Get the Shara. Does come in. It's like, who's attacking my Van score?
Empire are coming in force, though.
Yeah, they are, actually. The Press Kid. They break that healing ward, but Racho spins in time. Good. Tayu just used the stun, but he still has that sharpshooter. Shishaka gets stopped because of the cold snap. Berserker's Call for a bit more armor. And that's going to save him for a couple more seconds, but he's still in trouble. Now he can spin again, but it's not going to be too late. Yes, it will be. Cheshire Cat doing nothing to Petushara, who is now asking for a high five. High five me as I murder you. Pantomime just wants to get away. He's only a poor support. The tree breaks, but it doesn't matter. Petushara gets the double kill.
Yeah, and again, that's my concern on this hero, that when you give it to him, he can make plays like this for you. TA might even be caught Duracho this time. He's got spin, but no TP, so he's just going to have to run and potentially even leave Rabel behind. We got those first 2 urn charges, so the cold snap procs are here and in force. Yamich now with the Supernova in the middle of the fight. They've already dispatched of the TA. Is Suppresskid going to turn with the Alacrity buff now? Will get through the egg. Ghost Walk in time as well. Duracho trying to counter-initiate with the Omni Slash, not finding anything. Instead, still a couple enemies. Cheshire Cat, though, respawning. Is going to find the dunk onto Van Score, but it's Petushara with the last laugh. Gets the kill onto Duracho, and that will be that. A nice little bit of aggression out from Team Empire, who will lose only the supports and come out with that, well, they didn't even get the tower, but they do disrupt the farming of the Templar Assassin.
And the Juggernaut. That's a huge win. Because Smiley Knight the whole time, can we just pan to him for a second? Because we'll see Smiley Knight going, doo-doo-doo. This jungle is so full of creeps, you know? He's not even... his team is calling him, hey, we're fighting. Smiley Knight doesn't seem to care whatsoever. He's taking over the enemy jungle now. He was in the triangle a little bit before. He's super, super safe. Now they see him, so he might be in trouble. He has Stone Gaze, though, so he should be fine. And Empire, they're looking strong. They know they're taking advantage of the Timbersaw well. The Invoker... even got away with his life there. I thought he wasn't going to. In fact, Cheshire Cat, the target, sharpshooter once again charged. There's the ice wall. They first break him, and now they'll kill him.
Eventually.
Yeah, no Berserker Skull. There we go.
That's
Tornado takes an extra second, but it's fine.
It's just flexing a little bit on him, you know. He lined up Tornado as well to farm the small camp, you know, just casual Invoker plays here. Master tier Invoker, of course, on Depressed Kid. Again, showing why Team Empire have been very keen to pick the Invoker for him. Not just here in the qualifiers, but throughout the DPC Season 2, 7 games on the Invoker, boasting quite the impressive win rate as well for him.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Bottom. They are hunted now for the Phoenix. Into the trees goes Seiyu, of course, with Scurry, and with Ghost Walk active here, he should be able to find our Phoenix soon enough. Cold Snap is going to come in time, somewhat canceling the Icarus dive. We've got a Sunray up to the high ground. He's going to try and make it up, but unfortunately Tornado will stop him in his tracks. And Smiley Knight, even joining the fun here for this one, is going to get the kill. I'm so strong.
Yeah, nice. I'm so strong. I love that line. Nice kill there by Empire. Yet again, stopping Winstrike from whatever plans they want to execute. You don't have the Supernova available for the next fight, if they were even thinking about fighting. And now you've kind of broken their idea to come back into the mid game, right?
Yeah.
If you can't really use the axe too effectively when the Timbersaw is this strong. Smiling Knight almost seems like he doesn't even need to go for the axe build. He's just gone for a straight up Medusa with stats, which fair enough. I mean, if you don't need the axe, why even use it? There's Pantheon, by the way. Caught with the MP, he's dead. They haven't even been able to utilize the gank squad with a Lion and the axe.
And now, I'll tell you what this is really in 2 words. It's from Empire. It's unchecked aggression, really. Winstrike, they just can't stop them, right? It's this Timbersaw already up to level 12. He's got the Sange and the Hooded Defiance. He's too tanky. Next item for him is going to be the Lotus. That'll help him, you know, dive even further, more aggressively. Cheshire Cat with the Blink. Finds a Squirrel, but 2 base attack time means we're not going to get very many auto attacks out. Rabel, though, joining the fun with the Blink Dagger, freshly picked up. They will hold him down at least with the Bushwhack only for a second, and Depressed Kid and Vanscore thinking better than pushing up to the enemy triangle without any vision. Vanscore now, a second call, is going to catch him into the Sunray. Tornado, though, onto 2. At the Blink away from Rabel, of course. Refraction up means there's no damage than actually canceling the Blink Dagger. We'll be able to reposition, and he's good to go here. Looks like Winstrike pushing now, or looking to push for a mid-tier 1 tower off the back of the kill onto the Hoodwink. Another call. Cheshire Cat. So there's Rabel in. Supernova on top. Smiley Knight, though, has already got the Stone Gaze leveled to level 1 here. They're not going to be able to save the Invoker, nor Vanscore, who dies to Duracho in the backlines with the Omni Slash. But now Smiley Knight out of position here, does not have the Stone Gaze. They're going to buy back on Vanscore. Another call from Cheshire Cat here as Duracho using the spin. They're burning through the mana rather quickly. Finger of Death now, and that is going to be a death onto Smiley Knight. Vanscore just bought back. Petushara is now showing up to the fight with a halberd here in hand, trying to at least repel the invaders. A 2-man bushwhack, though, potentially a big turnaround here as Petushara is in with the Whirling Death, gets the kill. Rabel going for the tower is going to be forced away, however, as they've lost the hard carry in exchange for a kill onto the Invoker and Medusa. So a nice show of force here from Winstrike to get themselves back into this game a little bit.
Yeah. No, that was a very good fight for them, and this is the time where they should be fighting anyway. This is their point of inflection. You have an Axe that finally got his basic items with Blink Dagger plus Dragonlance. I think on the TA, you're somewhat capable of fighting. Obviously, you're waiting for Desolator, but it's okay. This is why the Dragonlance build is so popular on this hero. And you also managed to stop the counter initiation. You forced out the Invoker's Tornado very early. These good boards might actually give him an edge here. Cheshire Cat jumps in, find the Preskin, get rid of the Tornado early. Can they do it in time? The Preskin trying to run away, not with the Earth Spike. He's down. Petushara trying to go back home. Petushara lost his mid laner. He has nothing to protect any longer. Does have a Heaven's Halberd though to get rid of the TA, but for how long? Berserker Skull catches up to him. The pushback will miss. They do have an Earth Spike though. Can he Timber Chain in time? Apparently he can. Petushara out of mana though now. They're just struggling to finish him off, and there's gonna be the Culling Blade to do the trick.
Dude, Cheshire Cat is pulling them back into this game. I think we just had like 5 super highly impactful Blink calls in a row off the Blink Dagger. I mean, this is exactly their point of inflection. You're totally right about that, Avo. It's a completely different Winstrike pre and post Blink Dagger on the Axe. This is the kind of impact he was hoping to have in Game 1. Unfortunately, as you recall, in Game 1, he got that Blink Dagger scouted out very early by a ward, so he wasn't able to have this impact. Just 2 straight fights where you get the kills onto the Invoker. Sure, Medusa's farming. You don't get the kill onto her, but most importantly, you get TA involved in these kills. Bit more farm on her as she's now nearly finished up the Desolator. And this Vessel doing major work here, isn't it? Yamich with a great pickup here on that, making these kills onto the Timbersaw very, very possible until he gets a Lotus.
I think once you get Desolator on the TA, for like next maybe 10 minutes, I would say, more or less, you should be able to take fights with a considerable edge here, and that should give enough time for Juggernaut to recover. That's what I'm seeing from Winstrike. As Empire's also taking some fights a bit too risky fights because they felt a bit stronger, and that kind of punished them to a degree.
I'd agree.
We'll see, though.
I'd agree. Right now, like, I think the issue Empire are having is Deuce is not tanky enough to fight. Obviously, it's still pretty early into the game, although that's going to change rather quickly as she already's got one of the ultimate orbs for the Eye of Scotty, but I digress. Petushara, they've got the solutions to him, even though they have really good answers to Rabel. Right now, the rest of the team from Winstrike is just online a little bit faster, especially with the team fight ultimates that they have here in their favor. It does make life rather difficult for Empire. I think it would behoove Winstrike to play a little bit more grouped up in this next 10-minute timing that you're talking about now with this Desolator. Maybe even look for a pickup onto Roche to bolster your team fight a bit more, because I think you're just a bit stronger right now than Empire. Maybe they go for Roche.
They do try to Tornado Yamich, but not quite there. Sounds like for Vision, but they catch the Preskin. That'd be a great call. Goodbye to the Preskin. Bushwhack giving them a bit more space. Empire trying to retreat. Petushara is not an easy target to kill, so they're not going to try that hard. With Spirit Vessel, though, might still be possible. Rabel. Oh, the Berserker Skull barely misses. And that's going to allow Empire to retreat, only losing the Invoker. But like I said, now it's Winstrike's time to shine.
It's space for Roche. That's all they needed. They knew if they could get a cheeky little +1 there, they still couldn't fight for Roshan. 20 seconds left, though, on Invoker's Death Timer. And, of course, with double Meld Strike, with this Desolator, yeah, Roshan is more than dead here. They won't be able to counter-initiate in time. We'll see if someone wants to go for a really YOLO life, or for a snatch. But, no, it's just not going to be possible. Not at the very least without Stone Gaze. In fact, they might be in a position here to try and punish Smiley Knight. There's Cheshire Cat, another blink call here. They're in with the Supernova on top. Petushara's got to back away as Vanscore will just throw one little spear at the egg before backing up. Smiley Knight taking a fair amount of damage out from Rabel, who himself has had his mana burned by the EMP. That's a good disengage out from Empire for what otherwise would have been a lost Aegis and potentially even a lost fight. Rabel was mispositioned here, but he's going to be allowed to walk away as Depressed Kid and the rest of Empire not too eager to fight into an Aegis TA.
Yep. And if Winstrike can press their advantage a bit further, like I said, Duracho is really recovering nicely. The Maelstrom build was the right choice here to make sure they can keep his farm up while still being able to fight, right? Not depending so much on these team fights going well for them. Always can recover. The Timbersaw is starting to fall a bit behind, but most importantly is the Depressed Kid's Invoker. He does like playing this super supporting Invoker in the early mid game. Sometimes he struggles to transition if he can't get enough kills off of it, and we're seeing the case here. Try to go for the Witchblade to up his damage ever so slightly, but he keeps getting caught out by a Winstrike that's eager to finish his life.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised here on the build here for the Depressed Kid Invoker, because he did... Oh, hold that. Oh, sorry, he's just farming, sorry. He did go for Witchblade early on, as you've said, and now immediately into Shiva's, but he has taken a couple of casual points in Exort a little bit earlier than he normally does, as I'm scrolling through a couple of his games. I'm thinking Witchblade was the answer here to the TA, who naturally has a favorable matchup, but it does kind of screw up what is his otherwise quite normal build, where it looks like he likes to upgrade the Vessel, go for like a 4-staff or 1 defensive item into Ags, is usually how he likes to play the Invoker. So the Witchblade is really kind of making his build feel a little bit awkward here, especially because he's not getting too many kills out from it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe the choice was either between Vessel and Witchblade, perhaps, or maybe just need to get so many more kills for the Witchblade to work. Like, it just feels like a bit redundant. Did you really need the extra damage in this lineup? Maybe I feel like you needed catch more than damage, because Timbersaw's already bringing a good amount of damage to the table, right? But you only have really Hoodwink for the stuns.
The thing is, like, the Vessel also doesn't feel amazing. Like, it's decent because you are playing against a Phoenix. And by the way, he does still build Vessel on the mid lane Invoker in these games, right? This is from the current patch. You know, just in case, because it's been a while since we've seen like full Vessel. This is kind of something that we've seen him do that is a little bit unusual compared to most other Invokers who prefer to go for the Witchblade. But it has changed up the builds quite significantly. I think I would have preferred to see. I don't know, because the thing is that it's really awkward if you don't have the full Vessel. How do you do damage then in the fights if you're just Quas Wex? Because your hard carry Dusa is not going to be ready early enough. It's a bit awkward for sure. They've got vision on Duracho.
That's true. Yep. Can they initiate on Duracho with a Ghost Walk, or is that just invisibility?
Got the
damage.
Phoenix.
Oh, okay. If you can kill Phoenix first to get rid of the Supernova, but they just don't have any way to lock him down. So, I mean, this game, like you said, there might be the option. If you went for the full support Invoker with like Solar Crest 4-staff, it was tough because you said you lack damage. I wouldn't even have minded the Invoker like deviating into a Hex super early because of this reason, as opposed to the Witchblade. Right?
Yeah, maybe Shiva's first, right? But like,
yeah, Shiva's is fine too. Or
yeah.
BKB into Hex, or even the Blink Dagger that we sometimes see on Toronto Tokyo, right? To try to initiate a bit more reliably. Those kind of builds maybe were a bit better.
TA's pretty huge right now, though. She is still down 2k to the Dusa, so, like, you know, let's acknowledge that. But with Aegis and now about to finish up BKB, she's not really too scared of what Empire have to throw against her at this stage of the game, especially with the way that Cheshire Cat's been able to initiate. And Cheshire Cat now going to be bolstered himself by this BKB that he's picked up. Fresh 9-second duration on him. And we've seen, you know, some great calls from him. It could only be up from here. And there's another one onto the Invoker, trying to escape. Sunray is going to be applied. BKB activated to make sure you can stay on top of the Invoker. Dust and with Rabel blinking in will secure the kill with the Meld Strike. I believe that is almost 3 or 4 straight deaths for the Invoker. And in fact, even Seiyu is not safe here. Scouted by the traps, he is killed off in the trees. A double kill for Rabel.
Now it's starting to look quite good for Winstrike. These kills on the Press Kid have really nullified the Space Grader for Empire, and what you have left is a Timbersaw, which I think Winstrike has enough tools to deal with at this point, right? Yeah, Axe is a bit bothered by Timbersaw, but you still have the insane amount of armor of Berserker's Call. The Rabel can punish Timbersaw early. If he doesn't have the reactive armor stacks, you just meld him, and you honestly melt him. The Spirit Vessel choice by Winstrike was also a really good one to make sure that the Timbersaw can't quite heal as much. Well played by Yamich. As you said, a build we don't see as often these days, but very useful this game. And I like that he's doubling down and going for Shivas as well. You have Timbersaw, you have Invoker, you have Enchantress, a lot of healing here, and just get rid of all of it with 2 items.
Yep. Yeah, I think Wasn't this something we saw yesterday out from Yamich, or was that on Spirit? I think it was it was Mira. It was Mira who was doing it, but it's the exact same hero, the exact same item build here. Something I neglected to mention before, though, when they were going on the Phoenix some like 3 odd minutes ago, as we see Empire smoke up, so I'll make this one snappy and quick, is this Dusa is still a bit scary, for sure. She's finished up Eye of Scotty, now countered, though, by the Jug Zone Eye of Scotty here. We're still relying on the TA, now with BKB, to do the bulk of the damage. Aegis has been reclaimed here, but I like this item for Dyrachyo. Makes him a lot tankier. He can afford to get into the face of this Dusa, and if he can get that Scotty debuff onto the Medusa, she is going to have very serious mobility problems in these fights. Not something that you want to say if you're playing versus a TA, an Axe, a Phoenix, a Lion. Like, it's just, it sucks. You don't want to be slowed whatsoever here on the Dusa. Big problem for them.
Winstrike. Dyrachyo is quite far ahead.
There's the call.
And positioning the call, yes, and that's going to find a Hoodwink. Ezreal detecting the BKB quite early, so Smiling Eye's trying to get ahead, and there is Rabel turned to stone. Can they kill Rabel in time with Alacrity? It seems possible. Refraction's not going to help her out too much. Rabel's going to fall. In fact, to get rid of Pantomime as well, Dyrachyo now on the full retreat. Empire
Spin is ready.
Has been able to make a good use of this. Nice tornado, barely grazing him. He's going to try to TP with a Blade Fury and is going to succeed. Not enough damage on Empire to bring him down. Dusa's still a problem for Empire, or for Winstrike.
Yeah, I want to say that was Rabel just a little bit too close, unfortunately, to the fight. Does end up getting turned to stone as the Dusa, with that increased move speed, able to close the gap. Yamich as well is going to be caught by the Bushwhack. No Icarus dive. Had Sunray to try and TP over the cliffs, but did not use it in time, so he will be killed off. Yeah, that was just real unlucky there. Rabel, I don't think he was expected to be turned into stone, but the Dusa just went right through her with all that move speed and slowed by the Scotty. She also has mobility issues here, of course, because of that move speed slow. And Medusa, buffed during the stone gaze duration, means that she's very easily able to close the gap and get her into the stone gaze form. They burn the mana. She's only got the refraction charges left at that stage, and it's just impossible for her to escape. Cheshire Cat, he had a great initiation, but we don't have any save on this lineup for Winstrike. So as soon as you're out of position, as soon as you're turned into stone, the fight just feels impossible for Winstrike.
Yep, sure, you can argue that Winstrike was a bit out of position in that fight, and that's true, but I think it's also the fact that Medusa's coming online now. Being able to use the Stone Gaze now as another way to stun, going for the Scotty as well to slow on the enemy so they don't have such an easy going in and going out of the fight. Now with Butterfly, there's still no way to deal with this Dusa until the Juggernaut becomes a force in the late game, right? Which is one of the issues that you have with going for the Maelstrom. Yes, you're always going to keep up farming, and in fact, you're going to be able to match the Dusa, well, not match the Dusa, but at least slowly creep up towards her net worth, but you don't have the immediate way of killing her, as the Diffusal Blade Manta style build would have given you.
I would guess that both teams are now discussing they're having a bit of server lag. The plus usually means, yeah, same, or agreed in this region is what I've discerned or gleamed from their interactions. So it seems like we're just going to be paused for a minute, mutual pause for both teams. One thing I'd want to add on to that, Avo, for sure this Deuce is a problem. I think we need to slow her. Like, if we can get a slow, I'm not that scared of this Dusa. The issue is Jug, as you said, not in position. Battle Hunger is here to be manted off quite easily. If we can just get any percentage base slowed onto this Dusa before she gets Stone Gaze off, the fight is a lot easier. Just reducing that mobility on the Snake Lady is a way that she's out of position, is a way to make sure your cores don't get turned into stone. And if we don't have those two, things checked off, she is very dangerous because we cannot ignore the level of farm she has. I mean, she's 18k, nearly 19k even now, about to finish off a freaking Butterfly already. So yeah, she is nothing to sneeze at here.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be the argument for Winstrike that they might have mismeasured that team fight because they were winning until now, and they're like, oh, now Dusa came online, right? It might have been that they didn't see her items beforehand. They're like, or they just misjudged her and they didn't really realize when she was coming online, and that led to a team fight that was not executed as perfectly because, as you said, you might have just tried to stop the Dusa early. But it's just a tough target to go on. You can't burst it down as easily. You're gonna need MKB on either Jug or on the TA now once she gets the Butterfly, and then, as you said, I don't know. These are not. On TA is somewhat acceptable. On Juggernaut, it's also decent, but these are not items you want to deviate towards. It's going to take a while for them to farm this. So this gives even more space to Empire to just get more farm on the Dusa, maybe even get an Ags on her at some point, which she's going to need because not only do you need the catch, but more importantly, you're going to run out of slots. And at that point, as Winstrike, you do, like, what do I do against her? She can still go for the Hurricane Pike as well to give her a lot more space against the TA. There's a lot of tools for the Dusa, and she's the big bad boss of Winstrike.
She is. Team Empire, of course. Yeah, she is.
Well, the big bad boss
Team Empire.
against Winstrike, though. Like the
okay,
big
yeah.
bad boss
No,
Winstrike
I mean,
has to face. Yes.
Yeah, that's very true. It's cool that they've at least been able to make sure that Petushara is not this big bad boss. He is now much more annoying with the Lotus Orb completed, especially when he gets Scythe of Vice completed. He's going to be especially really, really annoying to the TA. And speaking of annoying to the TA, there's that Shiva's Guard completed for Empire, so that last fight for them is going to be quite nice to reset the net worth advantage that Winstrike War starting to accumulate. Of course, I question whether or not Smiling Knight is going to go into this Axe build at some stage. Of course, because of the talent changes, a lot of Dusas more so go in just for the right-clicker builds. We can see actually the 20 talent was the Stone Gaze duration, and of course the attack speed talent taking that 15, which is very, very normal now for sure. The Mystic Snake cooldown, generally not worth it. You'd rather take that attack speed. But at 20, I think the Stone Gaze is very nice. It does mean, basically, if you get Stone Gaze in these fights, you're dead. Even if you have BKB, like it's just too long of a duration for you to be out of the fight.
And they're, like I said, bait. Second game, you know, that's when they do it. The first game they struggle sometimes, but second game they go, right guys, let's play some good Dota, and they beat Unique. Now they're evened out. Let's see who ends up winning that that game. But as to the Dusa point, by the way, I'm saying more the Axe rather than going for the build, because that build's already dead, right? You already went for so many items. You're not going to go for the Axe build. It's because you're going to run out of slots, and that Axe is still useful to have, right? But that's more of a, you know, 10 next minute scenario when you probably build your Hurricane Pike. Maybe you sub out the Magic Stick for something useful, and then you go, either I pick up Axe from Roshan, or I build it myself, and then I get the Shard myself as well. And then it becomes very difficult for Winstrike to initiate on you, because that's still a useful combo to have on the Dusa. Pantomime, by the way?
Amped for, Pantomime. He blinked up here, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That was a very, very dangerous blink. There's the tips.
Yep. Okay. Not really. Maybe he thought he was. I have no clue. Anyway, moving on from that, this is going to be a bigger problem for sure, because Seiyu is also going for the Hunter's Mark on the Boomerang. The Hunter's Boomerang, sorry, which of course does end up marking you. The increased damage amp is definitely significant. You know, I'm not going to lie, it's very, very nice to have when you have spell-based casters like this Invoker. You know, it boosts the Ench's damage as well, because of course that does count as a spell, much like a lot of other auto attacks. But most importantly, the status resist reduction is a big killer here to heroes like a TA who don't normally go for these, you know, Kaya and Sanj or Sanj and Yasha items, right? No status resist really built in, no saves here on Winstrike, and you know, with this +2 second Stone Gaze talent, it could be an issue, as they are actually smoke ganking now back across the map here for Empire. Right now, Winstrike, though, setting up shop in the enemy triangle. Phoenix Ward on the high ground, ready to go, but no Fire Spirits to play with. For now, Empire happy to just check Roche. Unfortunately, he's not quite up yet. Another 10 seconds and he will be, but the smoke will expire. That's going to be Winstrike dodging out what could have been a very deadly smoke. In fact, they're going to smoke up themselves. Looking now to fight as Roshan is about to respawn.
Duracho.
Kicking off now.
Seems like
Duracho.
He's going to be the target. Watching Seiyu TP, but Duracho is the target here. Sunstrike and a miss. Only provision, Rabel tried to go in here, but actually controlled by the Invoker. Nice, definitely blasted Prescott, keeping him at bay, and he's going to die immediately. That choke point working wonders for Empire. Smiling Knight did have to use the Stone Gaze, but he survives the result. Fisher Cat could be in trouble himself. There's no more BKB for him. Berserker's Call gonna give him a bit of armor, and Smiling Knight is keeping the rest of Winstrike at bay. There's the super now, they want to re-engage the fight. Omni Slash also used, but Smiling Knight is tanking it, and they destroy the egg without much effort. Duracho needs to run away, but the Scotty is slowing him down. Now the TP, but a bit too late. Smiling Knight has way too much damage. They do kill off the Press Kid, but Rabel had to buy back for that. The Press Kid just buys back anyway, and you haven't been able to touch Smiling Knight. This fight, he was pretty much invulnerable. He even ate a whole Omni Slash. I mean, tank with the illusions, yes, but he was fine with that.
Yeah, that was all off the back of the initiation. I don't know if you caught it, but Depressed Kid immediately tornadoing both Cheshire Cat and Rabel. They both tried to jump it. It seemed like the team fight strategy here for Winstrike was get rid of this Invoker, start the fight off 4v5, or at least try and make sure that they have to use a buyback. But the instant tornado into the Deafening Blast caught them both. They didn't want to BKB immediately. Cheshire Cat BKBs, but by that point, Depressed Kid's already counter-initiated. And now Rabel, he's been caught. He was trying to cut Wave's top lane, which need a bit of detection. Into the trees he goes. There's going to be the tornado used already. Deafening Blast with a spicy, spicy meatball. TP available in 5 seconds. Sunstrike, though, to give vision. Tushara is out of mana, though. Can't quite chakra him. Needs a bit more. Finally, he's got it, and will be able to cut right through that TA. That is a dieback. They also find Pantomime in the mid lane, and Empire are just going to run it down. That's 110 seconds without your mid lane Templar Assassin.
That is absolutely huge. The press kid in these two fights, I mean, well, catching out the TA, even if he died in the fight, that control over the choke point was crucial for winning the last fight. And then now catching out the TA and forcing the dieback, it was pretty much he who killed her twice there. Incredible, honestly. The press kid, even with little farm, is managing to have such an impact this game, and is managing to be the Quasbex Invoker you know and love. Pretty much playing a support from the mid lane, allowing your carry to carry the game for you. We have the Hunter's Boomerang now on Sayu, so more status resistance ready, and Smiling Knight. I mean, how do you kill this Dusa? And with Alacrity, how do you even survive this Dusa, honestly?
It's looking real rough, Avo. I mean, a whole minute. They're going to go for the game. They know this TA has no buyback. It's a whole minute, Avo. There's no Fortify. They've already used it for the tier 3s. At least we are cutting the mid wave. Duracho making good moves here, and that is going to reset backdoor. So instead, they're just going to look for the lane of Barracks, as that's going to be their best outcome here. Good save from Duracho, making sure that they weren't going to give him the win here at this stage. Got to work a bit harder for it here against Winstrike.
Something I wanted to mention earlier that I liked about Empire, by the way, this game, that I think Winstrike could have done last game, is that they acknowledged one of their weaknesses was also the lack of catch this game, and they built for it, right? With stab resistance on the Hunter's Boomerang, with a Hex potentially that I think Timbersaw was still building.
Yep,
and
he's got it now.
He's got, okay, yeah, the Hex that he has, you know, even to some degree, the Heaven's Halberd, which is not necessarily catch, but it's a way to disable the enemy, right? Building up these items has helped Empire mitigate one of their weaknesses and being able to play this into the late game. And they even had a good lineup for the early, so that took away the lack of catch. You could play with Cold Snap and Enchant, and it was fine. And then to the mid game, when they were suffering, just play a bit more defensively until they get the items to deal with their weaknesses. Honestly, very well done by Empire, understanding this draft. On point by them.
And real quick, we've got a key item here for Duracho. He did buy out for that MKB after he got the mid lane. With the dieback, of course, that does put TA a bit behind the 8-ball in terms of her progression towards the item. So she's going to have to really look for just a miraculous amount of farm if she wants to have that one finished off. That's why they were going for Depress Kid earlier on in these fights. So the Jug has recovered nicely. Smiling Knight, though, he picks up not only Cold-Blooded, but finally finishes off this Daedalus. I don't know why I say finally as if it's late, because he's, of course, incredibly farmed. Yes. Not to imply that he's underfarmed. But now the damage is here for the Dusa, in case she wasn't annoying enough just with the move speed slows. Again, Jug with MKB, though, so they could potentially look to take her down, but twice, that's a tall ask. It's a tall ask, Avo.
It is, indeed. They even have the Lotus Orb here to make sure that they can't really initiate on her reliably. Oh no, Axe? And Shaket, he was trying to flank him there, but it's so difficult to flank people when they're in the side lanes because you know where the enemy team is coming from. Here's Shaket. Has to run away. The Scotty's making this difficult. Good Heaven's Halberd saved, though, by the Lotus Orb there, as it returns the Earth Spike. But Cat, maybe not the ideal target to initiate on. Deuce is still really confident. Conserves the Stone Case just in case. They wanted to murder Rabel. Well, they don't get her in time. Smiling Knight. He does get silenced with those traps, so can't go too further onwards. Already took the racks, though. Hey, he's like, I'll hit your buildings. I'll hit your buildings, I swear. I have arrows for everyone.
Yeah, they can't. Backdoor kicking in here. Of course, we have the traps down bottom lane, which TA was using passive or actively in those fights to make sure that they were able to remove the threat. Mid lane pushed in. I think it was just pushed in general from Winstrike's last efforts. Now that's pushing on back. So Team Empire, without a real reason to go up the high ground, they don't really want to just go dive in underneath tier 4 towers with backdoor protection with, you know, maybe a couple of buybacks still available here on enemies. Actually, there's only one buyback on for Yamich, so that's the only opportunity. Cheshire Cat, though, showing in the mid lane. Oh, no, he does not have buyback. He's dead now for 90 seconds. That's a really big death. This ward out from Team Empire was able to scout him out.
Okay, now you lost your initiation. You don't have the combo with Supernova any longer. How do you defend this? I mean, if they can push these 2 towers in 80 seconds, which I think they can, might just be game, honestly. It has to be the best Earth Spike of your life here. So you, or Yamich.
Radiant's top tower is falling.
we'll see Empire sieging up to the high ground. There's no X for a minute. You can play against the Megas, but Winstrike, they don't want to. They're going to go for it now. Down in the lower bracket by 1 game. There's the jump by Rabel. They've hexed up the Deuce. At the very least, Supernova in a good position to Prescott and Vanscore trying to make quick work of it. Might they be able to get it down? No, they won't. A 3-man stun then is going to put the Deuce in a compromising position, but it's going to be Dyrachyo. He's immediately bursted down. Too much damage being done through the spin. Could not get off the Omni Slash. Now there's 2 heroes dead. The fight's falling apart. Empire into the base of Winstrike with reckless regard, as with the flamethrower active, it's going to be Smiley Knight and Petushara bursting through these buildings. That's the Megas now. Axe respawning in 20 seconds for Winstrike. Can they make the impossible happen here?
I don't think so. I mean, I was thinking they couldn't even get the Supernova off. They did, and it still didn't matter whatsoever because the Roger literally got destroyed. He got blown up in a couple of seconds. Once the Supernova stun was off, Smiley Knight's done with this game. He wants to end the throne. You know, I'll let Winstrike have a single win in these qualifiers.
There they go.
They're very close to accomplishing it. They tried their best to kill Smiley Knight, but Pantomime dies instead. There's the GG called. Yamich is done with this game, and so is Empire, who will win the 2-0 series and get their first win of these qualifiers, taking down Winstrike, who has not had the best run, unfortunately. We'll have to rethink for the next season.
Yeah, that is going to be the 2-0 down and out. Go Winstrike. Very unfortunate for them, but that is going to be the end of their TI qualifier runs. 2-0'd by Spirits, 2-0'd by Team Empire, and that is going to do it for our first series of the day. We're going to head to a short break, guys. When we come back, we'll be joined by Daniel Offen to break down the series a little bit more.